The message arrived without warning. At precisely 3:17 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every digital screen on Earth flickered and displayed the same sequence of symbols. Phones, computers, televisions, billboards, all showed identical glowing runes that pulsed with an otherworldly light before resolving into words in all Earth languages simultaneously. Greetings, inhabitants of Earth. We are the Celestial Concordat, an alliance of 43 spacefaring civilizations. Your species has been monitored since your first radio transmissions. Your technological development has reached a threshold requiring formal contact. You are hereby invited to join our community as a developing protectorate. Representatives will arrive within 72 hours to initiate integration procedures. Admiral Helena Reyes stood in the United Earth Defense Command Center, her expression betraying nothing as she watched the message replay for the 20th time. After 30 years in military service, she had prepared for countless scenarios. But first contact had always seemed like a distant possibility, not an immediate reality. They didn't ask, she said finally. They informed us. Dr. Marcus Chen, the UED's chief sinolinguistics expert, nodded. The translation is perfect, too perfect. They've been studying us for decades, maybe centuries. And they called us a developing protectorate, added Director Kwame Okafor, head of Earth Intelligence. I don't like the sound of that. Above their heads, holographic displays showed what every major telescope on Earth and in orbit could see. Massive vessels appearing at the edge of the solar system. 27 ships of various configurations, the smallest nearly a kilometer in length, the largest stretching almost 20 kilometers from end to end. They're not hiding, Admiral Reyes observed. They want us to see them coming. Secretary General Isabel Moreau of the United Earth Government entered the command center, her normally composed features tight with tension. I've consulted with the Security Council. We're activating the first contact protocol. Which one? Reyes asked, though she already knew the answer. Defensive Posture Alpha. We meet them, we listen, but we reveal nothing about our capabilities or intentions until we understand theirs. Moreau's gaze swept over the assembled leadership, and we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. 3 days later, a sleek diplomatic shuttle lifted off from Geneva Spaceport. Inside sat 8 humans chosen to represent Earth, diplomats, scientists, and 2 military observers, including Admiral Reyes herself. As their craft ascended through the atmosphere, the true scale of the alien vessels became apparent. The designated meeting ship, positioned in high Earth orbit, dwarfed the International Space Station like a whale beside a minnow. Remember, said Ambassador Diane Zhao, the mission leader, we're here to establish mutual respect from the outset. We accept nothing without careful consideration. Their shuttle was guided into a massive docking bay, where the humans got their first look at members of the Celestial Concordat. 3 different species awaited them. One tall and insectoid with 4 arms and compound eyes, another reptilian with iridescent scales, and the third resembling something between a jellyfish and a tree, floating a meter above the ground. The insectoid being stepped forward. I am High Administrator Vex Troll of the Celestial Concordat. Welcome aboard the Harmonious Ascension. Ambassador Zhao bowed slightly. On behalf of humanity and Earth, we thank you for your invitation and look forward to learning more about your alliance. They were escorted through corridors of impossible architecture, spaces that seemed to bend and flow in defiance of Euclidean geometry. The conference room they entered featured a large circular table with various seating arrangements to accommodate different physiologies. As they sat, holographic displays activated, showing detailed information about Earth, population centers, resource distributions, military installations, and technological development timelines. We have prepared integration protocols tailored to your species, Vex Troll announced. Earth will benefit from our protection and guidance. In exchange, we require access to certain resources and locations on your planet and throughout your solar system. Ambassador Zhao studied the scrolling data. These terms seem rather one-sided, Administrator. Perhaps we could discuss a more equitable arrangement. The jellyfish tree being, introduced as emissary luminosa, rippled with colors. Equity implies parity. Ambassador. Your species is young, barely space-capable. The terms offered are generous considering your development stage. Admiral Reyes noticed something in the detailed documents, clauses regarding resource allocation rights and technological development limitations. She exchanged glances with Major Santos, the other military observer, who had noticed the same concerning language. We would need time to review these terms fully, Zhao responded diplomatically. Time is a luxury, the reptilian being, supreme strategist Slith, hissed. Other interests have noted your world's potential. The Concordat offers protection that you cannot provide yourselves. As the meeting progressed, the humans were shown examples of other protectorate worlds, planets where alien outposts dominated prime territories, while the native species lived in designated areas, their activities closely monitored and restricted. During a brief recess, the Earth delegation gathered in a private room, which they assumed was monitored. This isn't an alliance, Rise whispered. It's a colonization thinly disguised as protection. Zhao nodded. They've done this before, many times, judging by how practiced their presentation is. We need more time, Dr. Chen said. We can't accept these terms, but an outright rejection might provoke them. Ambassador Zhao made her decision. We'll request a 72-hour period to consult with our government. That should give Earth time to prepare, whatever response is deemed necessary. When they returned to the conference, Zhao presented their request for consultation time. Administrator Vextral's mandibles clicked in apparent irritation. 24 hours, the alien counteroffered. Further delay suggests reluctance to embrace progress. Our governmental processes require thorough deliberation, Zhou insisted. 72 hours is our minimum requirement. After a tense standoff, the Concordat representatives agreed to 48 hours. As the Earth shuttle departed the alien vessel, Admiral Rice looked back at the massive ships. They're confident, she observed. Too confident. They think they know exactly how this will play out, Zhao replied. Let's show them otherwise. Back on Earth, the United Earth Security Council convened in an underground facility beneath the Ural Mountains. The intelligence gathered from the meeting painted a disturbing picture. They want our resources, our strategic positions, and they want us contained, Secretary General Morov summarized. Their protection is a cage. Admiral Rice presented her assessment. Their technology is advanced, but not insurmountably so. What concerns me is their certainty. They've clearly absorbed other civilizations this way before, with minimal resistance. Then we need to do what they don't expect, said Director Okafor. I propose we activate the blackout protocol. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The blackout protocol was a theoretical response to hostile first contact, a complete communication shutdown with any alien presence, coupled with covert military preparations. They expect negotiation, capitulation, or futile resistance. Okafor continued. They don't expect silence. After hours of debate, the vote was unanimous. Earth would go dark. Exactly 48 hours after the diplomatic mission's return, as the celestial Concordat awaited Earth's response, something unprecedented happened. Nothing. No transmission. No diplomatic shuttle. No communication of any kind. In orbit, Vextrol ordered repeated attempts to contact Earth's governments. All frequencies remained silent. Probes sent toward the atmosphere were met with defensive systems that destroyed them with surgical precision, but still no messages. This behavior is not in our predictive models. Emissary Luminosa pulsated with confusion. No species has ever responded with complete communication cessation. On Earth, humanity prepared. For decades, certain military and scientific programs had operated under deep classification. Projects started after the first theoretical papers on how to detect alien civilizations suggested that contact might not be peaceful. In underground facilities worldwide, experimental shield generators were activated. Quantum communication networks, undetectable by conventional means, carried strategic information between defense installations. Orbital platforms disguised as debris shifted into defensive configurations. Admiral Rice stood in the command center beneath Mount Cheyenne, watching as the alien vessels repositioned themselves around Earth, clearly unsettled by the silence. 3 days of nothing, she remarked to Director Okafor. How long before they make a real move? Hard to say, he replied. But every hour of silence is an hour they grow more uncertain, and we grow more prepared. On the 4th day of Earth's silence, the celestial Concordat launched smaller vessels toward major population centers, clearly intending to establish direct contact with individual nations or cities, trying to bypass the United Front. They were met with a stunning sight. Massive holographic projections appeared in the skies above every city, displaying a simple message in the Concordat's own primary languages. Earth decipher, depart our system. Behind the scenes, humanity readied itself for whatever came next. They would not negotiate from a position of weakness. They would not become a protectorate. And they would show the galaxy that humans would determine their own fate among the stars. The silence continued, and with each passing hour, the celestial Concordat faced an uncomfortable realization. Their playbook for absorbing developing worlds had just encountered its first major failure. Day 14 of Earth's silence, and the celestial Concordat was in crisis. High Administrator Vex Troll paced the command deck of the Harmonious Ascension, all 4 arms gesticulating in agitation. The massive view screens displayed Earth, serene and blue below them, yet utterly maddening in its silence. This defies all precedent, Vex Troll chittered to the assembled Concordat leadership. 26 civilizations we have successfully integrated, and none have employed this psychological warfare. Supreme Strategist Slith's scales had dulled from their usual iridescent sheen, a sign of stress in the reptilian species. Our sensors detect significant energy fluctuations beneath the planet's surface. They are preparing something. Perhaps, suggested Emissary Luminosa, rippling with cautious colors. We have underestimated them. A junior communications officer interrupted. High Administrator, we've detected quantum oscillations from the planet's southern polar region. They appear to be an invitation. Within hours, a new diplomatic shuttle ascended from Antarctica. Unlike the previous vessel, this one bristled with technology that hadn't been visible on Earth during initial scans. Its hull gleamed with a material that partially deflected Concordat sensors, and its propulsion system operated on principles the aliens found disturbingly familiar. This time, only 2 humans came aboard the Harmonious Ascension. Admiral Helena Reyes, and a man whose identity hadn't been disclosed in the transmission. Dr. Alexander Volkov, Earth's leading quantum physicist and the architect of several classified defense systems. They were escorted to the same conference room as before, but the atmosphere had changed dramatically. Where the Concordat representatives had previously projected benevolent superiority, they now exhibited cautious uncertainty. Your silence has been perplexing. Vex Troll began, mandibles clicking nervously. Admiral Reyes smiled thinly. We needed time to properly evaluate your proposal and prepare our response. Earth does not rush into arrangements that will affect generations. And what is your response? Asked Emissary Luminosa, colors shifting anxiously across their translucent form. Dr. Volkov placed a small device on the table. It projected a holographic display of the solar system, with specific points highlighted throughout. Earth's moon, Mars, the asteroid belt, and several moons of Jupiter and Saturn. These, he said calmly, are non-negotiable sovereign territories of humanity. We've established quantum-shielded outposts at each location over the past 20 years. The Concordat representatives stared in disbelief. Their pre-contact scans had shown no such installations. Impossible, hissed Slith. Our surveys detected nothing beyond your lunar base and Mars settlements. Precisely, Rise replied. We've maintained a public space program that progressed at an expected rate for a developing species, while our true capabilities remained hidden. A precaution that has proven wise. Dr. Volkov manipulated the hologram, revealing more details. We've studied similar situations across the galaxy. The Xandi Collective, the Promethean Alliance, the Drift Consortium, all absorbed as protectorates by the Concordat, all now serving primarily as resource providers rather than equal members. The revelation hung in the air. Earth had somehow gathered intelligence on other civilizations without being detected. How do you know these names? Vex Troll demanded, compound eyes flashing with alarm. Admiral Reyes simply smiled. We've had help. Not every species in your Concordat agrees with your methods. This was a calculated bluff. Earth had pieced together information from the initial contact and subtle clues in the Concordat's proposal documents. But the effect was immediate and dramatic. The aliens exchanged troubled glances, suddenly uncertain about potential dissenters within their own ranks. We are prepared to offer a counter-proposal, Rise continued, activating another section of the holographic display. Earth will consider joining the Celestial Concordat under these terms. The display showed a radically different arrangement. Earth would maintain complete sovereignty over the solar system, would receive full technological exchange, rather than the limited appropriate technology the Concordat had offered, and would participate in Concordat governance as an equal member. This is unprecedented, Vex Troll objected. No developing species has ever. That classification no longer applies, Dr. Volkov interrupted. He touched his device again, and the hologram shifted to show a demonstration of technology that made even the confident Concordat representatives grow still. The display showed microscopic machines reorganizing matter at the quantum level, technology the Concordat had only recently mastered themselves. Another sequence displayed Earth vessels with propulsion systems utilizing principles similar to the Concordat's own ships. We've maintained two technological tracks, Volkov explained. One public, progressing at the expected rate for a young civilization. One classified, accelerated by unified global research without the distractions of commercial applications or public relations. Admiral Rise leaned forward. We are not what you expected, and we will not be what you demand. Either accept us as equals, or we will continue our independent development. Emissary Luminosa pulsated rapidly, their equivalent of whispering to the other representatives. After a tense conference, Vex Troll turned back to the humans. We require verification of these capabilities. Your claims are extraordinary. Of course, Rise agreed. We'll provide a demonstration. Back on Earth, in the command center beneath Mount Cheyenne, Secretary General Moreau received the signal from Admiral Reyes. She turned to Director Okafor and nodded. Execute Revelation Protocol. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations simultaneously activated. On the dark side of the moon, massive doors opened in what had appeared to be natural craters, revealing advanced defense platforms. In Mars orbit, stealth satellites decloaked. In the asteroid belt, mining operations far more extensive than the Concordat had detected became visible. Most dramatically, 6 vessels emerged from concealment in Earth orbit, warships of unmistakable human design, but incorporating technologies that the Concordat recognized as dangerously effective. On the harmonious ascension, the Concordat leadership watched in stunned silence as their sensors confirmed what they were seeing. You've been watching us since we entered the system, Supreme Strategist Slith realized. Every move we made, every scan we performed, you were gathering intelligence while appearing primitive. A strategy as old as human civilization, Admiral Rice confirmed. When facing a potentially superior force, appear weaker than you are until you understand their intentions. Dr. Volkov manipulated his device again, and the hologram showed a series of strategic analyses. We could have attempted immediate resistance when you arrived, but with incomplete information. Instead, we chose to learn. And what did you learn? Asked Vextroll, mandibles now completely still, a sign of intense focus in their species. That the celestial concordat is powerful, but not invincible, Rise replied. That your standard procedure is to absorb developing worlds through a combination of intimidation and false promises, and that you've never encountered a species that refused to engage on your terms. The revelation hung heavy in the conference room. For centuries, the concordat had expanded using the same approach: arrive with overwhelming force, offer protection with exploitative terms, and gradually strip new members of independence through seemingly beneficial integration. Emissary Luminosa floated closer to the table, pulsing with what humans now recognized as their version of thoughtful consideration. Your approach is unique in our experience. Most species either attack futilely or capitulate immediately. Humans have a long history of resisting colonization, Rise explained. We've learned from our own past. After hours of tense negotiation, a preliminary agreement was reached. The celestial concordat would withdraw most of its fleet from the solar system, leaving only diplomatic vessels. Formal negotiations for Earth's potential membership would proceed on the basis of equal standing, not as a protectorate. As Admiral Rise and Dr. Volkov prepared to return to Earth, Vextroll approached them privately. You must understand, the alien administrator said quietly, there are factions within the concordat that will not accept this precedent easily. What you have done here will ripple across the galaxy. We're counting on it, Rise replied. Perhaps it's time for the concordat to evolve beyond its colonial past. Their shuttle departed the harmonious ascension, descending toward a planet that had just redefined its place in the cosmos. In the command center beneath Mount Cheyenne, the staff erupted in cheers as the transmission came through. Phase 1 complete. They're withdrawing. Secretary General Moreau allowed herself a brief smile before addressing the Global Leadership Council. This is only the beginning. We've established our position, but the real work of diplomacy now begins. Director Okafor nodded. And we maintain our vigilance. We've surprised them once. We can't assume they won't try to regain the upper hand. Agreed, Moreau said. But we've changed the equation. For the first time in their history, the celestial concordat must deal with a developing world as an equal. 3 days later, as promised, the majority of the concordat fleet departed Earth orbit. Only 3 vessels remained: a diplomatic ship and 2 escorts, maintaining a respectful distance. From her office in Geneva, Secretary General Moreau looked up at the night sky. The stars seemed different now, knowing what lay among them. Not just the concordat, but other civilizations, some thriving, some subjugated, all part of a complex galactic community that humanity was now joining on its own terms. On her desk sat the preliminary document that might eventually lead to Earth's membership in a reformed celestial concordat. The terms were carefully balanced, ensuring humanity's independence while opening doors to genuine cooperation. A message from Admiral Rice appeared on her screen. Intelligence reports the Galactic Council is in emergency session. Multiple protectorate worlds have already cited the Earth precedent in demanding renegotiation of their status. Moreau smiled. Humanity's refusal to accept second-class status hadn't just secured Earth's future, it had potentially liberated countless other civilizations as well. Send to all UED installations, she dictated to her secure terminal. Maintain vigilance protocol indefinitely. Phase 2 diplomatic initiatives to commence at 800 tomorrow. As night fell across Earth, citizens looked up at skies they now knew held both wonders and dangers. But whatever came next, humanity would face it standing tall, not as a protected species, but as architects of their own destiny among the stars. The silence had served its purpose. Now it was time for humanity's voice to be heard across the galaxy.